Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 260.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leverage streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other Cashflow Diary podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, Jay Massey.
Okay, hello out there. So, as you guys know, maybe some of you have already jumped on over. We've been doing lots of interesting things with Periscope and Facebook Live. So if you've been participating, great. If not, that's okay. You still have time, you still have an opportunity. Been giving more complimentary content over there. And I wanted to make sure that you guys heard this particular one. Now, as I've been experimenting, we decided to do this one in the middle of my office. Now, that's in quotation marks. In this particular case, the office is, of course, Starbucks. So there's obviously, it's a little different, but the content I felt was something that has been helping a number of entrepreneurs, and we had a lot of people watching it and commenting. And I figured, you know what? You guys need to hear it too. But if you'd like to begin to catch some of the things that we're doing on Periscope and Facebook Live, make sure you go to facebook.com/Cashflow Diary. Feel free to like the page, just like us on Facebook, and or follow us at again, it's at Cashflow Diary on Periscope and Twitter. And you'll be able to participate in more of these real time, which would be really awesome to be able to talk to some of you in a real time nature. So again, Facebook.com/Cashflow Diary, or just at Cashflow Diary on Twitter and on Periscope. But for now, let's get to the business system for real estate success.
Excellent. Hello, everybody. This is Jay again. Welcome for those of you that are joining us for the first time. Glad that you are here. Thanks for, joining, obviously. For those of you that are joining for the first time, give us a good shout out. Let us know that this is the first time that you're here. I'm glad to see everybody. Hi, Sean. Glad that you guys are here over here on Facebook as well as on Periscope. And what we're going to be talking about, as I've said, I also want to give a quick shout out to all those watching on the replay. I had a conversation earlier today with some individuals who I've worked with for a number of years. And one of the things that was very frustrating to me, or that can be frustrating to me, as I go out there to help people to do better and build businesses. Welcome, Heather. Glad that you're saying hello. Excellent. Give us a quick shout out. Always remember, hearts are welcome. So those things are good. But I was having a conversation with one of our a person that I've worked with a while. He's been able to build, a small real estate portfolio in a couple of different states. And he and a partner have recently hit on a strategy that's working very, very well here in Southern California. And I wanted to share some thoughts that I had about that with you. And more importantly, the business system that I know that you need to be using and leveraging in order to get the success that you are looking for. Now, many of you may be wondering, where is he right now? You've heard me say time and again that I am often at Starbucks. Well, that's where I am right now. So I figured I'd try one of these at Starbucks and see how it goes. I mean, I have no idea. Hi, Tina. Glad that you are here. Welcome. Give us, again, a quick shout out. Hey, Jake. Glad that you're here as well. And for those of you on Facebook, definitely share and like away. And if you ask questions, I will get around to answering those as well. And for those of you on Periscope, feel free, if you hear something that you like, lots of hearts are always welcome, and definitely share with any followers that as it makes sense. But here's what happened. here's what happens is I've been working with them for a while, and they've managed to get, a single family house here in Southern California, which many of you may know is actually an expensive proposition. Well, at the end of that, after they found a way that worked, so you're working as an entrepreneur to find a way to the gold. You find a way to the gold, and then I've seen this happen time and again. You go and then say, okay, that worked. Let's go do something completely different, something completely new. That makes absolutely no sense. Do not do this, people. Once you find a hole full of gold, you dig until you hit the bottom of that hole before you move on to somewhere else. Business, hear me clearly, write this down. Business should be boring. Brian, thank you for inviting followers. That's very awesome. I appreciate that. Business should be boring. Okay? What do I mean by that? That means, yes, you have a unique way of doing what you do, delivering your product, delivering your service, going out there to provide clean, safe, affordable housing for people. But at the end of the day, it's a repeatable process. And for many entrepreneurs, we get bored by doing the same things over and over and over again. Business should be boring. The successful ones are boring. Starbucks is not trying to reinvent itself today as I sit right here. You might call this my office, right? They're not trying to reinvent themselves. You know exactly what to expect every time they're here. There is no doubt about that. They do the same thing day in, day out, repeatedly. Your business should revolve around a system that does the exact same thing. Instead of hopping from place to place to place to place, your business should do the exact same thing over and over again in order to hit levels of success. So over the years that I've had the opportunity to build business and be in real estate investing specifically, I've developed a system that has worked for many different people in many different countries, and I want to make sure that I share that with you as well. So I'm going to show it to you. You might want to be ready to take a screenshot real fast, but this is that system. This is that system, right? So you should be able to see it. I'm trying to make it as big as I possibly can so that you have some time to write that down, because it says buyers, sellers, investors. That's the 1, the 2, and the 3. Then it says expert, and those are 3 letter I's, PAQ, enroll, and then the word referral. That's the system. What does that mean? That means for your business to be successful, you must have a way of generating leads systematically. In this particular case, as a real estate entrepreneur, you need a way to generate buyers, sellers, and investors. That clearly makes sense to most of you, right? You've got to have a way systematically to generate leads for buyers, sellers, investors. Now, typically as a real estate entrepreneur, what ends up happening is that you go to networking events. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. That's where many of us start, and that's completely fine. The challenge is that it's limited to your availability and, more importantly, your ability to actually talk to people. What if you're not good at talking to people? What if you don't want to keep going to networking events? What if you'd like to stay home one day? What if you like to do anything other than get up and go out of bed? What if you got sick? Then all of a sudden your entire system falls apart for generating buyers, sellers, and investors. So, but networking events is an important piece. It just can't be everything. One of the things that I learned early on in terms of building a business system, especially when it comes to lead generation, is that everything works and nothing doesn't. What does that mean? Specifically, what I mean by that is anything you do to generate leads will likely work. Because oftentimes we're always asking, hey, what's the absolute best way to generate leads? What's the most efficient way? I've been known to say, and I say again, if you tattoo on your forehead, we'll buy houses fast, all cash, call. Somebody's going to call if you walk around enough people. That'll happen. Everything works. Everything generates leads. Okay. The question is the lead system that's going to work is the one that you will do the most consistently. And here's what I know. The human body is frail. We humans are inconsistent. And if you build your business lead generation on an inconsistent system, your income will also be inconsistent. It will have ups and downs and spikes and all kind of loop-de-loos, and that can be a challenge. If you want to have a business system that is successful, you must have a way to generate leads. And in this case, buyers, sellers, and investors continuously regardless of how you feel, regardless of the day of the week, regardless of your emotional state. All of these things have to happen in order for you to have consistency throughout the business that you are looking to build. So what happens, why do I break that out specifically, the buyers, sellers, and investors? Well, it's simple, because for a real estate entrepreneur to actually exist, you got to have a way to buy inventory. And that's all real estate is just kind of inventory, right? And you have to have a way to sell that inventory if you need cash, or a way to hold that inventory long term in order to produce income. All of those three pieces are necessary. You cannot have a fully functioning real estate entrepreneur without all three pieces. Therefore, you must have a system that attracts all three different types of people, right? So let me give you another example. Say, for example, like Apple or Best Buy or any retail store you've ever been to. You know what they have? They have these systems. They have a system for raising capital, and that's usually called the stock market, right? So it raises a ton of capital. Welcome, Suzetta, sorry. You're very, very welcome. So they have a system for raising capital. That's usually called the stock market. They have a system for acquiring their inventory. That's what they typically call the supply chain. So they have manufacturers who produce all of those TVs, who produce all of that products that they sell in their store on their behalf. And then they have a system for attracting people to come buy the stuff that they've put in the store. And that's what you see in the Sunday newspapers, on their websites, in your email box. And that's why they have sales and all of the products available. It's because it's three systems working together to achieve one goal: provide a good product at a fair price, and most importantly, make a profit. That's what your business does. Real estate is no different. It's a business system. And most of the times when we use the words like, hey, I want to invest in real estate, we forget that it's actually built on a business system. Or maybe we just didn't know at the beginning what the business system was. Totally understood. Totally understood. So that's the leads part. That's the 1, the 2, and the 3. Buyers, sellers, and investors. You have to have a system for attracting all three of those. Well, what's next? The next thing in your system has to be the fact that your potential customers need to see you in a position of authority, i.e. expert, or the place that they can go to get their problem solved. Think about it. Why do you go to a hospital? Well, typically you go because you're hoping that they can help you feel better. Now, I know some of us have different feelings about Eastern medicine versus Western medicine, but you get my point. There's a person or service somewhere that you go, something that you take advantage of when you don't feel 100%. You have a routine, you have a place to go, and you know where that place is. And guess what? It's the exact same thing. It's a place to go when you know you have a problem. And the only reason you know that they're a place to go is because they've marketed to you in some way, some fashion, be that referral marketing, be that online, whatever. But they have a system in place to attract. And for you to see them as the expert. Well, guess what? As the real estate entrepreneur, you get the privilege of doing the exact same thing, positioning yourself as the expert. This is something that always and must consistently happen, is that you must have a system that consistently puts you in the position of the expert to help people know that, hey, I can help you with your problem. Now, what type of problem? That's where the fun comes in when it being a real estate entrepreneur. Do you solve problems with beat up property? Do you solve problems with land? Do you solve problems with notes? Do you solve problems with rentals? Do you solve problems with financing? There's so many ways to skin the real estate cat. And unfortunately, this is the black rabbit hole that sucks up so many people. And we get stuck there and don't start providing properties, clean, safe, affordable housing to anyone because we totally forget. So what does that mean? That means, quite simply, decide. I know that, yes, there's so many opportunities within real estate investing. I got it. I get it. Just pick one. I don't really care which one. Anyone. And master that one, then move on to the second, then move on to the third. And again, I'm going to use the place where I'm sitting right now in Starbucks. As I said before, you might call this my office, but this is the same thing I'm trying to say to you. They mastered coffee delivery in its most basic form. Then they expanded to fancy coffees. Then they expanded to teas. Then they expanded to food, Then do you get my point? They didn't try to do all of those simultaneously at once. The point is they mastered one, then they moved on to the next. And that is a very good lesson for all of us as real estate entrepreneurs. So what does that mean? Maybe you master buying and holding first. Maybe you master fixing and flipping. Maybe you just master finding good deals first. Then you move on to the second and third stages. So here's, again, that business system that we're reviewing. At the top, we have the lead system. Then we have the system that helps us be positioned as an expert. After that, we have to do what I like to call the triple I, investor identity interview. What I'm really saying is that one of the mistakes most entrepreneurs make in the sales process is they start talking about everything that they have and how great they are first. Wrong answer. You must begin by understanding what my problem is first. Could you imagine if you went to the mechanic and said, hey, my car's broken, and then the mechanic just responded with, okay, that'll be $1,000. Well, how does he know that it'll be $1,000? He hasn't looked at it. He hasn't diagnosed what's wrong. He just said it was $1,000. But yet, most of the time, when you're trying to get a deal done, that's exactly how you're treating the people at the networking event. You get a flyer, you go out there, and you're like, hey, look, this one's only $100,000, and look at this great return. Isn't it awesome? Well, what if I'm looking to fix and flip? You don't know what I'm trying to do. The purpose of a triple I or investor identity interview is to find out what people want to do first. That is your number one thing. First, find out what the problem is. Then, through that process, you earn the right to share what you are doing, which is what I call the PAQ, Profit Analysis Quadrant. It's a conversation. It's a technology that I invented that allows people to structure deals, raise capital on a napkin, do it in Starbucks, and most importantly, be able to serve the needs of their clients. This is the key, and this is the sequence, and this is the order. There's a reason for sequence and order, right? I'm not going to ask you if the chicken or the egg came first, but the point is there's a reason for sequence, there's a reason for order. When you put those things together, they work. When you don't, well, they don't. It's very simple. So again, recap: leads, expert, find out what they want to do so that you earn the right to talk about what you're doing. And then after that, the biggest misstep is actually right here. You actually have to ask people to join you in this mission, your vision, whatever that might be. That is your next step. If what they want to do, if you can solve their problem, you must, dare I say, you are required to ask them. And if you don't, it's only your fault. I hope you learn to keep asking. That's what I call the enrollment conversation. You must continue to ask people to join you. If you don't ask them, you never know what could have happened or what won't happen. You just know that, hey, I sat in front of some people, I tried some things, it didn't quite work out, etc., etc., etc. You must ask, okay? You must ask. And again, if there's anything that we're saying right now, that you like, definitely give us some hearts on Periscope. Definitely give us a few likes over here on Facebook. And if you've got any questions, feel free to type those in because, like I said, I will get to them in a second. Thank you for those hearts. It's much appreciated. Now, here's the next bit and next little secret that will save you tons of money when it comes to your marketing efforts. Because, again, it is no secret whatsoever that marketing can cost money. Attracting a buyer, attracting a seller, getting your investors, that's going to cost you some money. And it is cheaper to keep a relationship than to have to go and find a new one. It's cheaper to keep an existing customer than to go find a new one. This, after not asking people, you don't ask them to send you more people. That is a problem. That's a problem. This is why marketing and business can be so expensive. It's because once you're done serving one person, you start all over and start looking for someone else as opposed to asking the very person who you just helped to send you more people. It's one of the best ways to lower your marketing costs. It's one of the best ways to accelerate your invested capital per investor. It's one of the best ways to get some of the off-market properties. I mean, this is what we're talking about. As a real estate entrepreneur, we don't deal with MLS. You shouldn't be. Why? Because there's so many people who need that help. And you and I, we can go out there and help them. I see a question over here. Someone was asking is how do we find good MLS deals? For a real estate entrepreneur, their unique niche should have a skill set to be able to find problems, not properties. We don't look on the MLS. Anybody can look on the MLS. The MLS is the equivalent of going retail. Hopefully that makes sense. The goal isn't to go retail. The goal is for you to find the things that Best Buy and the Apple Store and Saks Fifth Avenue, what they can't find, you're supposed to find the problems that they can't solve. If it can go retail, by all means, let it go retail. That's what realtors do. We, as a real estate entrepreneur, what we do is we solve problems. We happen to solve problems that involve real estate. That's the fun part. And we have to learn to look for problems, not properties, in order to get to where we need to go. So, and then, like I said, the thing is once you solve the problem for a person, you must remember to ask for referrals, because here's the thing. Here's what happens all the time. Anybody who has a problem, knows someone else who has that same problem. And when those individuals are together, guess what they ask? Guess what they ask each other? They ask each other, hey, who can help me solve this problem? And if you've done your job right, you have the ability to earn that particular referral. Now, I just saw something about master lease options. I wanted to know. So if you type that again, I'll be able to catch it. I'm sorry I missed it. And someone is asking a question. AM Holding is asking, should you use? Yes, I know, right? Someone was asking over here about comps for MLS. And as far as the comps go for MLS, I don't mind you using the MLS for comps, but I don't want you to go get your real estate license just for that reason. That seems like an extra added expense and liability that I don't want you to necessarily assume or acquire. You could, but I don't know that you should or have to. So hopefully that makes sense. And then I still missed the question over here about the master lease options. I just saw something about that. So, but again, at the end of the day, the people who have a problem, like think about it. If somebody wants to get their hair done, you know what? They don't go into the Yellow Pages looking for that. They start by looking for a referral. Even I do this because, as you can tell, I like to keep my hair low, right? So one of the things. Oh, Brian Parker. Okay, I see it now. It says, how do you find master lease option deals? I'll get to that in just a second. Okay, so one of the things that, as you can see, I like to keep my hair low. But one of the best ways to do it is with a straight razor. I'm talking the old-fashioned straight razor with the leather and all that stuff. That is like a skill set like nobody's business, and it's absolutely awesome. I promise you, I ask for referrals because that's what I want. I want the person who knows how to do that. I didn't want just anybody from Yellow Pages or a Facebook ad that can say that. And Dollar Shave Club is not what I'm looking for at that moment, right? I'm looking for a personalized service. And if a hairstylist is out there that has that ability and has marketed him or herself well enough, I'm going to hear about their referrals. And that's exactly what you and I have to do when it comes to our business. So Brian was asking is how do you find master lease option deals? Okay, Brian, so that's a great question, and I'm going to answer it, but I want you to stick with me and understand the process and sequence. Using master lease options are wonderful, but that's a tool. That is not a type of deal, okay? So that's a tool. Here's what I mean by that. If you call a plumber to come to your house, and your plumber is coming, they don't know which tools they might need in order to solve the problem. So a master lease option is a tool designed to solve a specific type of problem. So what you really need to be looking for is a specific type of problem. But most of the time, again, at least in the deals that I've been in, a master lease option I would use as a very, very last resort, especially compared to things like a subject to or a purchase money mortgage. Those typically are better options. And a master lease option is a tool that I put way, way down the list. That doesn't mean it doesn't have a place, especially if you're dealing with something that's maybe, 100 units or more, something, maybe even commercial retail, those types of things, it can come in handy. But for the most part, a master lease option is a tool that is used to solve a specific type of problem, usually when there's an issue with changing title, specifically if there's an issue with changing title, and you don't have all the trust that you need necessarily with the seller. But it doesn't, so you don't really necessarily go find, oh, I'm looking for master lease option deals. You're not going to see that as an advertisement. But if you do, that's great. That's rare. What you're going to go look for is a problem and understand the different tools in your tool belt. So in a typical real estate investor's tool belt, you're going to have, like I said, a purchase money mortgage. You're going to have lease option, master lease option. You've got subject to, you've got land contracts. You've got many different tools to go out there to be able to solve the problem. But you first have to diagnose before you can go, hey, here's the tool that I use. Great. Because then you end up trying to make every deal fit that tool, and that's all you're looking for. So master lease options, as I said, it's one tool. I would encourage you, Brian, to strongly go find and research other tools that you could use to help solve the problem. Now, at the top, I said business should be boring. What does that mean? That means when you run a system, you're just running the same things. You're doing the same things repeatedly over and over and over and over and over again, right? Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about. This is your business system. This is the business system that you run repeatedly. You start here, you go here, you go here, 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 and here, and then you repeat, and you just keep doing this over and over again with a number of relationships, buyers, sellers, and investors, until you end up helping enough people to reach whatever your objective is or the company missions are, right? That's what every business does. They have a system through which they intake. That's what they have, a system by which they deliver their product or service. And at the end of the day, by running that system, doing the same repeated actions over and over again, they achieve their success. So what does that mean for you? Well, here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you to identify on this graph here, on this chart, what pieces of the system are you missing? Do you have a lead system? Do you have a way to position yourself as an expert and your real estate entrepreneur? Do you have a system for being able to find out what people want to do? Do you have a system that you can use to share with people what you are doing? Do you have a system, and I do mean a system for asking people to join you, and a system for referrals so that the process starts all over? That's what most people are missing. That's what you and I have to do. And the cool thing is all of those things can be learned step by step, day by day, minute by minute, time by time. So I'm not really sure how well this went over here because, again, I'm in Starbucks at the moment, but I wanted to try doing this in a completely different location just to see how it goes. I'm having fun. People are definitely staring at me kind of funny, but that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Thank you, Suzetta. I appreciate you sharing that. And if you've got a question, now would be the time to ask, whether you're on Facebook and or Periscope here. Feel free to do so. And again, hearts are always appreciated. Likes and shares, by all means, are definitely appreciated. But one of the things that I definitely want to make sure that I leave you with, because it's one thing, because right now for some of you, here's what happened. You're like, I see the system, Jay, but I don't have any of that going on. Or some of you are like, wow, I wish I had a way to get started in some way, in some way or shape or form. Thank you, Tina. I appreciate that. I appreciate you saying that you learn something every time we talk, so that's good. One of the things that I want to share with you is just a simple way to get started, okay? Because at the end of the day, if I can't help you make a difference, if I can't help you begin in this journey, then, you've learned some things, but your income's not different, your reality's not different, your life isn't different, and that's a problem for me. And what did you gain from this particular time? Sure, you've gained some information, but now I'm going to give you some action that you can take. Because, see, at the top of this is a lead system for buyers, sellers, and investors. And I told you at the beginning that, hey, one of the things that you should have is a system for generating buyers, sellers, and investors, right? Just like every other business. And that you should go to networking events. Well, the question is, what do you say at a networking event to begin to build your database of buyers, sellers, and investors? And it's a very, very common question that I get all the time. So if you find yourself in that situation and you want to know what I say, what many of our successful students have said, I'm going to share that with you absolutely no cost in a free video that you can go get. Here's how you go get it. You send a text message, CFD list, CFD LIST, all one word, to 33444. Again, CFD list to 33444. Or you can go to cashflowdiary.com/1010 words. Cashflowdiary.com/10 words. Either one of those ways will get you the 10 words that you can say, and I mean right now. This is something that you can use later today to begin to generate leads. And if you are brave enough, I often give this challenge to all of our new students and new investors, is that I want you to use the information inside that video 50 times. That's 50 times. Use it 50 times over the next 7 days. And I'm telling you, in that 7-day period, you will experience a transformation of like, wow, I didn't realize how much opportunity, how many people I can actually serve in this various way. And I think you will be very, very positively encouraged about the results in the end that you yourself generated in a very, very short period of time. And again, if you want to pick up those 10 words, just text CFD list to 33444 or go to cashflowdiary.com/10 words. Cashflowdiary.com/10 words. With that being said, I am pretty much done with my experiment today of saying, hey, let's see what would happen if I do this outside the office in Starbucks, which is kind of like inside the office for me because I'm here so frequently. So I'm going to sign off now from Starbucks. It's been fun talking to all of you guys. Thanks for joining. Make sure that you like the Facebook page and follow us on Periscope so that you can get notifications the next time that we go live because I will do our darn best to make sure that we have yet more information to share with you so that you can go out there and become a bigger, better, badder investor and real estate entrepreneur. It's been fun talking to you today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.